Hi, everybody. It is Timeline Junkie. I wanted to get on here and basically tell everyone that everyone is wrong and stupid about AI art. I've been getting a lot of criticism lately, some from friends, some from not, for my use of it. And, I've been told I'm not a real artist and this and that. And quickly, I'm just going to get into my background with art so I can explain to you why I just laugh when people say that stuff. I don't take it personally when people try to be like, oh, you're not an artist. I've been an artist for over 20 years. I started out drawing when I was a kid. Then I started writing, poetry and lyrics. In high school, started playing drums, then guitar, then singing, while all drawing. Then I started doing graffiti art. And then, in my 20s, once I became more serious about my music career, I started making music videos. I had a little video game YouTube channel, which that kind of taught me video editing, which is now my main source of income. And for the past 10 years, basically, since about 2014, I've, made my living exclusively off art and my creation. I started a small boutique live music booking agency. And yeah, so I've just kind of, creative entrepreneur, whatever you want to say. So I don't really give a fuck who thinks I'm a real artist or not. That's honestly never mattered to me. And I don't think it should matter to you either. Because ultimately, I don't really believe that the relationship, I think when something's being created, the relationship between the artist and the art is very strong. It's very much like a baby in the womb. But once the art is out there and it's been, the umbilical cord has been cut, so to speak, it doesn't really belong to the artist anymore. And, we could talk all day about like the George Lucas special editions of Star Wars and stuff like that. But, and it is interesting, that concept, but that's a whole other video. But I just really think that I used to think like, well, this AI art, it's not fucking real art because real art has to be made by, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter the same way it doesn't really matter if humans evolved or we were created. Like, it matters to us, it matters to some people, but it doesn't really it doesn't change anything about what's happening right now. And so when somebody sees a picture on the internet and it moves them and it causes a physiological reaction, because that's what emotions are. It's a physiological reaction in our brain in a mixture of chemicals. Any kind of thing that can be created to cause that. I have that reaction sometimes when I look at houses that have been designed really cool. That's art. The artist doesn't get a say in it. The artist doesn't get a say in how I feel. Paul Verhoeven doesn't get a say in how kids that actually like fascism are going to view Starship Troopers. Like, the whole media literacy argument is very fucking stupid to me. And because it just doesn't matter. Someone's going to take that movie however they want. Some people are going to sympathize with the bad guy. You saw it recently in the show The Penguin. I don't think the creators of that show, intended Kristen Milotti to make everyone as horny as she did, and then B, just be that sympathetic of a character to where she sort of becomes the protagonist of the show almost. But that's my point, is you don't get a say in what people think or feel about art. Certainly not someone else's art either. And a lot of artists really don't like that. A lot of artists really have a hard time with that. You see it in a lot of bands that sort of an artist that lash out at their fans, because they kind of realize they're attracting fans that would probably have been people that bullied them back in the day or something. However, I will say, though, the fears of AI in art are legitimate and they're coming true. In my last video, I talked about the achievers versus creators thing, and I'm actually going to make a much deeper video going into that, because this is sort of I hate to say philosophy because that's kind of dramatic, but it's just a thought that I've been sort of really putting together and trying to expound on for quite some time. And that dynamic is really interesting because usually without creators and achievers involved, it's just going to kind of suck one way or another. Creators need people that can kind of keep us on track, and also creators need people that can put boundaries and limits on us. it's important. Some of the best things ever made. I mean, that's why some movies end up being so good, is because they didn't have the budget. They had to think their way out of the problem. They couldn't spend their way out of the problem. That's why so many big movies suck, is because they think they can just throw money at it and it makes it a good movie. But what you're actually doing is limiting the creativity that is needed. So when some fucking, Jack Doherty dude bro who's got nothing but time and energy and determination to make money can now step into the art space and use these tools to make a ton of money. Yes, I can see why that would be frustrating, why that is a fearful thought. I can see why it's bad. I understand why it's bad. However, the idea that it's just this stagnant pool of money that now they're just stealing everything out of, that's 100% false. And the truth is, most artists, and this is true in every fucking field, man, most of you would do it for free. Most artists would do it for free. Most artists, in fact, pay money to do it. I sure know I have. I have never felt any sort of entitlement from the universe because I have blown large sums of money on my artistic projects. I don't deserve money for that. I deserve money if it turns into a product that can be sold and people like it enough to buy it. That's just the system. That's how it works. People want Minecraft slop. There are 6 to 10 year olds who want Minecraft TikTok scary story slop. That's what they need. There's a demand for it. And there didn't really used to be a demand for it until social media. Social media is still the main culprit here. Social media is still the main person we need to be looking at and be mad at, because they sold us up the river and we sold ourselves up the river a long time ago. The world is just not interfacing with itself in reality anymore. The world interfaces with the internet. So everything has been reworked to fit that framework. Your painting that used to be 4 feet by 2 feet in a gorgeous hand-carved frame, you want to stand 6 inches from it to see every little thread cross over in the canvas and how they change color to color. Now you got to zoom in with your fingers. It's just changed. It's just the interaction with art has changed. And I don't blame anybody for not liking it. Okay? It does kind of suck. I'm not going to lie. However, we're here and this is what it is. And AI has also allowed us to make stuff that we never could have made before. A lot of button pressers are mad about AI because they've cornered their little market on just information on how some stuff works. They're not particularly creative, though. In fact, they can't really do shit without a creative person around to guide them and direct them in the way they need to do it. They'll swear to you up and down, though, that they are. But the truth is, they're just creative enough to have a little bit of taste. But the people that are really empowered right now are writers. Going back to the thing about spending money on your art and what you should be entitled for. I spent 1.5 years and probably $2,000 working on a short film that isn't even out yet, might never come out, but it doesn't matter. It needed that money and it needed that time for me to feel cool with it. And it's not even my favorite project I've ever done, but why is that anyone else's problem what I put into my stupid fucking short film? You know what I mean? It's no one else's problem. I'm grateful the experience got to happen. I'm grateful for my crew that helped me make it. I'm grateful for what I learned. I'm grateful for the mistakes I made. That was payment enough for it. You know what I mean? And when you try to attach a direct monetary value to your actual inspired works, not client work, not stuff you had to be creative with to make money, but I'm talking your projects, your passionate stuff, you don't deserve to get entitled for that. You don't deserve to be paid for that just because you made something. It's all about how it's received and what it does out there. And the truth is, there's just a lot of really creative people that aren't very talented. And there's a lot of very talented people that aren't very creative. And AI has now unleashed both of them onto the world of people who are talented and creative. And also, talent is just one part of it. I hate that, even I have sort of indoctrinated my brain to think in binary terms of talent and creativity, but it's really talent, creativity, and discipline. Discipline probably being the most important one. If you have a little bit of talent and discipline, you will be very talented. You'll be very skilled. If you have creativity plus discipline, you will make a lot of stuff. You will eventually get to what you need, but discipline is sort of the key that unlocks all of it. And that's the one thing I unfortunately struggle with the most. I've never struggled being disciplined with my artistic work. Like, I always find the time to make my stuff. I always, no matter what, the shit's getting done. And I will sacrifice whatever I need to do it, sometimes to a fault. But I've never needed an extra push to get my own passion project ideas done. Those are something that they're in my head all fucking day, all fucking night. So anyway, before I get off on a tangent, I just want to say that people's fears about this stuff are true, because artists want to make a living at this. That's every artist's dream, to just be able to create and support them and their family using their art. What's better than that? And as somebody who's gotten lucky enough to do that, and it wasn't just luck, but it is a lot of it luck, you know what I mean? I'm just so grateful that I've gotten to do that, and I understand that feeling. And if you're somebody who spent the past 20 years learning how to play a fucking harp that was made 2,000 years ago, and you find this sort of spiritual, earthly connection to it and stuff, yeah, dude, you can shit on me all day. You can say that me prompting 6 things in Midjourney and coming out with results and posting it online, wanting validation and stuff. Yeah, I can imagine that would look ugly and stuff to you, but I think what a lot of people don't get is a lot of AI artists don't really do this for validation. They're just doing it to share it. They're just doing it to just show people the cool shit that they made. And so yeah, I don't know. And the other thing is too, the only people that really care how something was made is artists. No one really gives a shit how their favorite song was written, except usually people that have written a song. It doesn't matter how you made your thing. The movies that are made with tons of CGI, and then the people that are painstakingly making, the matte paintings and the carvings and all that stuff. I just it doesn't matter. They're the same price at the theater. We try to attach all of these ethereal values and things of well, this art means more than this art. And it's yes, but not inside a capitalist system. Inside a capitalist system, it's just all up to the person buying the art. It doesn't actually matter except in your head. And that's a very hard thing for some people to come to and accept, but that is just the truth. So I think that that's where a lot of artists, real life artists, whatever you want to call them, anti-AI people, their frustration comes from the realization that it's yeah, man, you've already submitted to the idea that we can put a monetary value on things that are timeless and priceless. So now that you're in that world, sorry, you have to compete with Minecraft slop. And this is not a new problem, by the way. The ILM guys and all the dudes making the matte paintings and the carvings and doing the rotoscoping and all that, they would use AI if you gave it to them back then. There was no rule that said CGI, had to happen, or that, the only way to do things is not CGI. There's no rules. There's no rules to any of this shit. It's just not there. And so they would probably be using it now. Now, the counter to that is AI is not just another tool. 1 second. After just 4 months on Midjourney and learning about SREFs and just toying around with it, I can do a lot of stuff it would have taken people years to learn. And that's not fair. And that's not, I can understand someone's frustration with that. Someone who took their whole life to learn how to paint, and then it can just get put next to some bullshit that somebody put 3 sentences into. I'm a fairly lazy prompter. And it's also because, and this is just my personal thought, and maybe it's a cop-out, I don't know, but the idea of, I like, that I'm working with AI, as in, I'm collaborating with it. You know what I mean? Like, we're working together on this project. I don't think my AI stuff was all made by me. It wasn't. I had a supercomputer to fucking help me. So I get it. But also this notion of like, well, that's not fair, or that's not right, or that's not the way it should be. It's like, yeah, man, none of that matters. None of that matters. We lost that war a long time ago, and it's because we never wrote a rule book. Artists never got serious about this stuff. Musicians never got serious about unionizing. You know, like, some battles just got lost, and they're lost forever. And the idea of, well, we got to get back to real art, or AI art has failed. It's like, man, these people have no fucking clue how far back in the dust they are already. And me personally, the reason I got into AI art is I just realized, like, there is no way on earth I can get the movies made that I want to get made. There are movies that I can get made, and I'm working on those movies in real life. But there are a lot of movies I want to make and scripts that I have that nobody would touch with a fucking 20-foot pole. You know what I mean? Nobody would even ghost produce it. And then as soon as I just said, like, well, I've got this tool that I've been shunning and fearful of and looking down on, but it's the way to get me to these movies. It's the way to get these movies made. Well, sure enough, I found an investor. Like, and I started putting my stuff out there, and I found somebody who wanted to invest in one of the movies and actually get them made. And not in real life, but with AI. So it's opened up a whole new avenue and opportunity for me. And I'm just insanely grateful for it. Most of the people I've met in the AI world, as far as artists, are incredible people. And the ones I love the most are the ones that were never artists before. They're the ones that just started messing around with this stuff. And like, they're literally having 2-year-old artist thoughts. The thing I do is, like, I talk about how old someone is, their age, in terms of like how old they were when they started making art. You know what I mean? So I'd consider myself, I'm a 25-year-old artist. You know what I mean? I've been doing it for 25 years. But I love these people that are like full-grown adults, full bank account, life put together. They've got it figured out. But the one thing that was missing was they never got to be creative or never got to try anything artistic. And this tool helped them do that. And it's like, what? Do you want to take the dopamine back out of their brain that they got from that? Do you want to fucking police that and change it? Like, no, come on, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, dude. You're just mad because you know the future is moving faster than you can keep up with it. And I'm mad about it too. But I'm at least trying to keep up. And it doesn't mean I've abandoned the old stuff I do and the stuff in the real world I do. I make a lot of stuff just for me. I make a lot of stuff and don't release it. So anyway, yeah, everyone's wrong about this shit. You know, I think a lot of AI artists have this just a flat out different mentality and viewpoint of the world. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that I had no idea how much older the AI art community is than like the sort of real life artist community. Far more older, far more mature demographic than I had initially pictured in my head. So also a lot of these people do come from the tech world. So a lot of them, I've just found tech people have a different view on finances and money and lifestyle than a lot of other people. And a lot of, real life artists I know are fucking poor and their teeth are falling out of their head. And so it is just like a disconnect in not even like a worldview, but just a perspective in where you're standing in the world. And I just find a lot more people in AI are very optimistic about it, and they have an abundance mentality. They have a mentality of creating the wealth, of not, oh, my slice of the pie is getting smaller. Their mentality is, I'm building an oven to bake pies. And most of the artist world doesn't have that mentality anymore, and it's really fucking sad. But a lot of it has come from the commodification of art through social media. There's just a lot of it, and it's just not worth as much anymore. So anyway, I have talked already for way too long. I thought this was going to be a short one, but I'm eventually going to do some spaces so I can just riff on this shit for a while. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you guys like it. Blah, 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 all that. Peace.